Um, here's one that I'm sure most people would be, sort of interested in. Can you name some of the people that you follow and respect most in UK gambling, and who would you say is at the top?
That's an interesting question. I would say that like one of the real guys who are going to be the most successful is Ben Keefe. To be honest, like he's hungry. He's going to make money. He understands the industry. He knows how to bet to figures, and compared to his competitors in the UK, at least, he does a good job. He will do what it takes, and I have a lot of respect for him.
But what about the people you follow in? He's the sort of person you have a bet with. Did you take your bets?
Yeah, we've crossed paths a few times. I mean, the thing with all these bookies is a lot of them is like the KYC's gone mad. You can't bet on WhatsApp because they will change the prices on the machine, so you have to take a worse price to protect their edge. They'll put you on hold forever. They've got all the tricks in the book, and they're completely paranoid, and there's no give and take. I'm a give and take punter, yeah. So I expect, like when I've smashing around, like I expect, like if I want to have a warm horse, if you're not going to give it to me, like I'm out and I'm going to kick off because I'm a give and take gambler. But these bookies aren't. Now, where somewhere like Star has an advantage is it's owned by it's not corporate, so they can make quick decisions on their feet. So we will have had some bets over time.
You're not going to tell me who took Marshall card, are you?
On what, sorry?
On anything. Who would be?
Well, I don't have a card because I'm not like randomly betting myself on.
No, but anyone that gives you the lively information. Is there anybody that you could mention?
I don't think it really works like that. Like for me, anyway. Like it's not like there's someone who you've got a tip on that. Like either there's people who I can give money to, and they will bet for me on something. They'll say we're sharp. We're going to bet the whole season, the whole year, and I'll ask them at the end of the year, how have you done? Yeah. I might invest in that. I might not. And then everything else, everything is so accurate. Like, what is, as I say, unless it's someone coming to me with, like, I've got something on, it could be any sport, but say it's cricket or whatever, like, I don't really care for like 0.5% edge or 1% edge with variance. Like you need to like really commit to that sort of thing. Like there aren't edges, which is why I've sort of kind of like, I love betting politics.
I was going to mention politics. Now, so when you have you bet quite big on politics, I'm told. Is that intuition, or is that another case of you mingling with the right people?
No, that's intuition because, and what I like about politics is I follow it all day. So I'm looking at politics in America, Europe, UK. Like I read all about it. I'm all up on it on Twitter. And what I like about it, and which is why, for the same reason that like it's not interesting to me if someone says I've got a 1 or 2% edge in cricket, have this bet. It's 3% edge. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's not interesting to me. I don't need to pile on that. With politics, I can kid myself at least that I've got a 40% edge and the market's completely wrong. They don't know what they're doing. Yeah, like how is this price possible? There's never ever having that on a Premier League game, like or even a Championship game or anything, or an IPL game. That's not going to be completely wrong. Like it might be a little bit wrong, but like. So when I bet on those other sports, I'm doing that because I'm a degenerate and I want to have the action. Yeah, I want action on those things. But when I can bet on politics, I can be both. I can say, well, I would love to have the action on that, but actually, I really like this. Yeah, I think the market's wrong by 60 points, and no one's going to be able to tell me that it's not. Like I know that they can put the data up there for Man United against the Arsenal, and they're going to get all those players in, or darts, or anything like that. But you can't get good, accurate things on who's going to be at the midterm, who's going to win the midterms next week. Republicans heavy favourites, but Democrats are a live chance. Like who's to say that like 1 to 4 Republicans to take the Senate is right? Like it could be 1 to 20 the correct price, or it could be 6-4 the Republicans. So, and that's something that sits well with me. That's how like gambling used to be, how gambling should be to me. Like if you have a bet and you really like something, you could know that, it's not just the same as saying like, for me saying that I think Liverpool are going to beat, who are they playing next weekend? Tottenham, yeah? So say Liverpool against Tottenham. There's nothing in me like with the most huge opinion I could have that could ever really think that I know any better than what the price is, but in these politics things, you don't, you can kid yourself, and that's really fun to be actually think you have good bets, like who's going to win the next election, like you could really like. You could really like sit there and think that 6-4 or whatever it is, Tories is like amazing. Like, how have I got this? Like, I just like give you such good vibes and the buzz for the whole time. You can never sit there and think like, oh, I've got a great bet like Liverpool with this and that. Like, the price is just not going to really change much up to kick off. There'll be a couple of team news. That's how it's great, right? You with politics, you can sit and you can sit with a bet, and it can be a longer term bet, and you can follow it and watch it, and you can think you've got a really nice thing. And you can bet on the team that you like as well. So,
and have you got a sort of a minimum price that would you bet like 20 grand at 20 on if you thought something was an absolute certainty in the politics?
So like
would you bet really long odds on if you thought you were absolutely certain?
Well, so like when Biden won and Trump was saying that he hadn't won after the votes had been counted, kind of thing.
That sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone filled their boots on that. I mean, so yes, I mean, would I bet that like, would I bet 101 on my name being Roland? Then yeah, obviously I would. So, if something's a sure thing, it's reflected in the price. I've never been one for like, actually, to be honest, I've always been a bit of in my own punting, I've always been a bit of an odds-on better, just because psychologically you win more. So like, it sounds a bit like I know the bookies like laying the odds on, but I like betting the odds on a lot of the time because like gives you confidence. There's a lot of winning, like psychologically. Like it doesn't matter even if you lose overall, if you win like 9 out of 10 times. So I remember like Harry Finley used to bet Federer like 105 and 108 when he should have been like 10001. That was, as he said, like brilliant for him because it gave him confidence and whatever. Yeah,
no, you've mentioned Ben and Star Sports in a glowing sort of terms as proper bookmakers.
I wouldn't go so far. I could, I'm sure, but like.
But okay, so
compared to Labrooks or someone,
you've got a grudging respect for bookmakers that will take a bet anyway. Should we say that?
Well, I think that anyone will take a big bet on Cheltenham like an hour before the off, but I more have a disdain for like people who are getting the biggest margins in the world, putting their opinions up on Twitter as being good, and then they're running a book and they won't lay a bet to anyone, and they've got edges as well. So yeah, there's my answer to that.
Okay, but the reason I was what I'm leading into there is back to the poker again. I know you say you only play it, well, recreationally, not professionally now, but still seriously, I assume. Are you actually the bookie? So do you look at each person that you're playing and play them to their lack of strength or strengths? And is that how you would deal with it?
You have to, like, if someone is a player who you think is like really tight, and they're making big bets, you probably don't call them. So yeah, and if they're really, if they're really wild, you're less likely to bluff them if they call a lot. So obviously we're all at a poker table. Everyone is taking your opponent into account. So in that way, yes, but it's not really like, I don't think the analogy holds so much as it being like a bookie. Okay. Yeah, you're playing against yourself. Ultimately, in poker, you're playing against yourself. Like that's who's really gonna like screw you out of money is yourself, your own things. Whereas in a bookie, you're playing against the bookie.
Yeah. Now when interviewing anybody watching this will see you're smiling a lot. You've got a real sense of fun. You obviously enjoy what you do. But is there a downside mentally? If you sort of suffer mentally from the highs and the lows of the gambling?
Sure. I think that like gambling is, you're just hitting yourself with dopamine all the time, and it makes other things less fun. So, other people like look forward to a wedding or something. Like for me, that's like, oh my God, I've got to go to a wedding. Like how boring is that? Like I hope I can get good phone reception. Like it's you know it's an issue. Like it's something that can take over your life. Now, as I say, I'm all about just like making it work. Like here I am. I'm going to try and make this work to some extent. You know, stay in the game, have fun with it, and have good experiences. I won't make as much money as that, but I'll get opportunities to make money or play poker with people or something that if I wasn't giving away this action here and there, I wouldn't give. Okay, but yeah, if you look at it, take a step back from a big picture. That dopamine just being mainlined into your brain all the time is bad for you, and it makes other stuff less fun, and it makes like having a normal life less possible. You know, but to unwind all the stuff that I've done, if you know, that's a difficult, challenging task, and I wouldn't even know how to start going about it. What I want to do is, you know, maybe one day I will do that, but you know, I also want to be involved in like any interesting, fun gambling projects, things that will take up my time, things that I can contribute to, and not just sitting around, you know, betting which bowler's going to go out of these two is going to go for more runs and flipping a coin from that. So the danger is it wastes a hell of a lot of time and it's fun. So even if it's not super expensive, even if you can make it work somehow by getting a lot of places to bet, you're wasting your time. And that's what kind of addictions are, really. So yes, I really enjoy that, but is it the most productive thing for me? Probably not.
So would you say that you have a compulsion, you have a compulsion to bet? And if so, how would you feel if you woke up one day and that had gone?
I think I'd feel good if that compulsion had gone. I do have that compulsion, but not in the way that, like, it's not in a, like, the way that you would have it pictured in, like, movies or, you know, it's not like I have to bet on this because it's on. It's like, sometimes I just need a bit of action somewhere, or, like, I like the feeling from it. Now, if I'm not going to have that feeling, I'll have to have something else. So it might be food, or it might be out with friends, or it might be this, that, the other. But like people who are like quite ADHD inclined, which a lot of gamblers are, they have to have something. Might even be like going to the gym or something healthy. Might be watching a series. Might be like, you know, what's happening with a few mates. But you need something because I guess we've just all trained our brains in that way for so long.
Now, getting to the last questions, once again, your friends have been very good marking my card, and a few of them said that you're a lot more modest these days. I don't think they mean modest as in you're ever a bragger, but you just sort of, you seem to be toning it down a bit. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, I was never a bragger. Like I always realised that like the success I had in poker was largely down to luck, and there were better players than me, and there's smarter people betting sport than me, and I guess quite self-aware enough to know my strengths and weaknesses. I don't know. You know, I still have my moments. I guess we all mellow a little bit. There's no way that anyone doesn't. I've been a bit more like bit more focused on like being healthy and stuff. You know, when you get to like, you know, you're not in your 20s anymore. You're, you know, late 30s, both in our 30s. Then you know you kind of you do tend to step back, not necessarily unwind, but there's definitely part of me that is not 10 weeks in Vegas, might be 9.5.
Do you just briefly now, do you know if you're in front this year?
Do I know?
Do you keep, you know, would you ever figure?
I'm not really one for records, like, you know, so, and also I think that a year is just a really arbitrary time frame to, you know, I know that the last 5 years weren't as good as the 5 years before that, but like, that's okay. Like, I'm not scared of losing. I'm not scared of downswings. I understand that in what I do, there's a lot of stuff that isn't have an edge, and the maths kind of plays out to when that is. In times where like some good things have come up, then I'll have made more. Otherwise, not, and hopefully just keep in action.
Now, all the way through. This is the final question, but all the way through this interview, you've been very honest. But it's always been in the back of my mind that you were still a master poker player. So, is this downplaying a little bit of your skills? One massive ruse to make sure people underestimate you?
Not really. That no, there's no spot where being anything but authentic is going to help you. That's what's going to help you the most. I think Ben likes to believe that like I'm some sort of like Kaiser Soze figure in gambling, where like I'll say what you want to hear and this and that, and like with respect, like he's somewhat deluded on a few things, and once he gets his opinion about someone, which is fine, like he is obviously well to that, but it isn't like, well, I set up this interview to like try and get on like in 6 months because they're going to see me and think, oh, he punts a lot. Like all I've ever said really is my gambling will speak for itself. So if people want to give me action or lay me bets or bet with me or against me, like me and my gambling speak for itself. If you don't like that, then so is it that? Yeah, I know what you're saying. This is not like one great act where. Yeah.
Brilliant. So when the phone rings and it's hi, it's Roland, they shouldn't be scared. Bookies.
Well, I tell you what is that if I was me, laying me, I would say you've got to lay this guy everything, because if you pick and choose, A, he's going to be a difficult customer, and B, you can get it wrong. Like if you lay everything, like all the money that I've placed in all of the firms, you'll do okay. Yeah, I mean within reason. But if you keep, obviously if you start like laying me, 50 grand at like 10 to 1 on horses 2 days before, you're going to lose. But generally, if you keep it to like, kind of vanilla stuff, and you lay a decent sized bet, you're going to do well. If you start picking and choosing, then, that's when you can think, but no, I wouldn't be scared of me. Like I'd be someone I'd lay, like casino, sports, poker. Like I think I'm like fun to have around, like get people, in the mood to gamble, get action. And that's what like poker's about as well. Like, just looking at your cards, and like making a decision, that's one thing, but actually having a fun experience, like, because I also live and breathe it all. Like I'm not someone who's like ice cool, if I'm like losing, like you can see it on my face, like the hair's going in all different directions, the shirt might be off, like it's that, and that's kind of the opponents that you want to have when you're playing cards. You want to have a good time. That's what I want to have. So no, don't be scared, but also in a corporate world, it's hard to box like people who are a bit of a maverick, who will like put two fingers up to the system. And if there's someone who I have found as not a mentor, but as someone who I respect for doing that, it's probably Ian Botham, because Beefy will say, there's that to the system, and leave me alone. I'm walking to John O'Groats for some charities. So, there's that sort of mentality. It's hard for these corporates to deal with someone like me, who they look at the bet list and they think, this is the maddest account I've ever seen. Like how do you pigeonhole this? How does an algorithm look at this? So.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for sharing your life with us and telling us all about it. And if anybody wants to get hold of Roland, you know that bit to find him. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers.